Welcome to Dave's Kitchen, or DooDah Creations Workshop. Hi everybody. Here today to do two things basically. One is to get your advice and comments, feedback, etc. to see whether this new little idea of mine will be viable or not. This is a prototype here at the moment. The other thing too is to promote illustrated album pages. Most collectors either store their stamps in stock books, Hagner pages, or if you're lucky enough, you might go to the expense of purchasing, for example, Lighthouse illustrated pages that come mounted, except that, for example, Australian Decimal, there are 4 volumes. It only goes up to 2018 presently, and there you're looking at about $2,500 for the 4 volumes, although they have got slipcases and binders as well. So it's very expensive. What I'm proposing is a very cheap way of using, for example, my visual catalogues that not only display the stamps, but you've got cross-referencing system here for different various catalogue numbers, etc. Problem is though, presently, I know why people get put off of these type of albums, because you've got to go out and buy a cutter. It only cuts the stamp mounts vertically. The strips only get cut vertically, and so basically you need a different size strip for every size stamp. So I've come up with a system. My prototype here at the moment will cut very accurately, both vertically and horizontally, so the cutter will do both directions. So bottom line is you don't need to buy a whole lot of different packets of sizes, a lot of sizes that you won't use. Oh, you won't use the whole pack, put it that way. All right, so I can understand why people get put off mounting their own stamps because of the expense and the fiddliness of it. But I'll show you an easy way. What I've done is I've got a little bit of a survey here. Using my Volume 1 Great Britain album as an example, I've actually gone through and worked out roughly there are 6 different height of stamps, which means you'd need basically 6 different size packets. But it's, now these large ones, for example, the height is 39, whereas the smallest here is 16.5. I've grouped these two together. This one here is height of 41, 39. So you see I've gone for the biggest size here, and this one size, using this system, will be able to mount all of those different sizes. So with the prototype, it should be easy and affordable to mount your own albums. All right, so quick demo. Because that size is 41, I'm going to use black mounts. It's just that it's easier to see on the background. Of course, on these albums, I always use clear mounts because I have the actual black background on the page itself. So black mount, just to illustrate. My photographer here, who's feeling much better from her recent illness, following me around. All right, that's the largest stamp, and you see that fits beautifully. You've got where the hinge is. It's got a bit of a gap there. So what I do is I just have the same gap on the edge here. The top has a gap on it too, roughly the same size there. And what I can do on the cutter is I actually want to cut it down this way. So I just have to lift that up, slide it in, and at the moment if I cut it, it would cut the stamp in half. So what I've got here, what I've done is got a little adjustable slider using both fingers to pull it out. I've actually pre-marked here size 41, so I can take it up to 41, match it up there, and just tighten it so it doesn't slip. I'm going to put it in now against the little stock I've got there. If you look where it will cut, actually that's a bit wide. No, that's fine. That's for size 41. Just gently keeping it still, nice and square. It's just a matter of sliding that equal pressure across, and that cuts the stamp to the mount, so that when I put it in the album, it will have the same distance around it. But being clear, it you don't really see that anyway, but if I put it in the album, you can see that will fit the album pretty well there with a clear mount. But it will shine through to see the actual black backing on it. But that will protect the stamp pretty well there. Alright, now so I've got a 41 size here, and the idea is I don't have to buy a separate packet for different sizes. Because as you can see, I've got it upside down here. Hang on, back side, put this back on. There we go. Right, so another example, here's a penny black here. Now penny black is the same height. That pound one is 23 height. Silver Jubilee is 23. Penny black's 24. This one 24. The festival one is 24. So I go to the largest size of 24 because 23, 24, both of these will also fit nicely within the 24. So I'm going to cut one at 24. So I need a strip at 24 height. So pop it in. So I'm cutting the vertically here. So I'll put. Now you don't want to cut the hinge off, so place it around just so you've got it in there, and it's just a matter of what I do is take the actual stamp and pop it in, and you want the top to be trimmed at the same height as the margin on the bottom where the hinge is. Right, so just simply pop it in here, make sure it's nice and square against the side, and I line it up so I've got that same gap above the center of this bar here, which is the cutter. Might take you a little bit of time to get used to it, but once you've got the hang of it, it's really quite easy. And just gently slide the cutter across, and I didn't do it in the right middle there. Didn't cut the whole strip. I'll just redo that very quickly just to make sure. Oh, what you must do though, I'll just cut it just slightly smaller. You've got to run your eye along this line here, this bar here. I normally will put a little reference mark to know where to put the strip, but keep your eye along here and it should be parallel. If it's not, you just need to adjust it up a little bit so you make sure that that's perfectly square there. And holding the cutter down, that actually applies equal pressure as you just gently slide it across, and that cuts a perfect, well, I stuffed up Murphy's Law because I didn't, I cut it twice. As they say, measure twice, cut once. That'll do. I can just trim that off there later. All right, so now I have my 24 strip. Then I can go in here, set my little U-Butte DooDah slidey bit to 24. I've already pre-marked that with a white pencil, but I will double check. Always, as they say, measure twice, cut once. So I can pop that up against the stock, and the theory is I can cut one here, the one mount, and I can go ahead and cut as many of those at that size as I want. Okay. Now that particular size, if you look at my little calculation here, if I covered every spot in the album, you'd be roughly looking at 453 stamps for volume 1, Great Britain, at that particular size. So if I was going to cover every spot, every stamp, you're going to be there for a while, but it's a very cheap way of cutting your... Yeah, I've got 3 already. I've only got 450 more of those to do to fill the whole album. Okay, but that's a really quick, easy way of doing it. Now I've still got this strip left over, so I'm now going to go to the smallest one I've got, which of course is the Bantam. That's 16.5 mil. So I pop, once again, I pop it in. I need to cut it horizontally across the top. So I just line it up here, just make sure that where the cutting line is, that it's parallel with the bottom. So I'll just pop that down to hold it for the moment while I look along this line here, and I just make sure I've got it in the right spot here. Parallel, I know where it's going to cut, and just slide this gently across, and we've got that one for the bantam. Or if you push it all the way, if that's fully closed, that's the skinniest one. And that will also cover this one. I've actually stuffed up a little bit here. I'm supposed to cut 3 here, so at its skinniest setting, that's pushed right down back to 0. That will cover the bantams and this one here as well. Right, so once again, we don't want to cut off the hinge. Go fairly quickly because we're running out of. Right, so I can pop that in there. Right, and just make sure it's parallel on the bottom, all the way up on the stock. Slide it across, and that gives me my strip for the bantams and the smaller ones. Okay, good coverage there. This one's a little bit top heavy. Doesn't matter though, because you'll be using clear mounts. You won't see that gap up there anyway. Okay, so one pack will cover roughly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different sizes. So one size pack fits all. Now, just for a bit of a comparison between the two systems, most people, if they're wanting to mount stamps, would go out and buy a cutter. They retail for around about $70, $75, say roughly $70. Now, judging on the amount of different sizes I need, I'd need a whole pack of 25 strips just for 2 stamps, which is ridiculous. Big expense, not needed. So, but if you did, you'd need 4 packs for these sizes. 1, 2, 3. Basically, you'd probably need about 8 different packs to cover all the different sizes. The clear strips retail for about $18 to $20. Let's say $18. So 8 packs at $18. It's going to cost you $144 worth of mounts, and a lot of the strips you won't be using. They'll be sitting in the cupboard. The vertical mount cutter, $70. So you're looking at a total just for volume 1 of $214. Now, using this more versatile system, which cuts both vertically and horizontally, you'd get away with 3 packs. And I doubt very much whether you'd be mounting every stamp in the album, because there's so many very rare ones that are illustrated here as well. So you might just want to mount the ones you've got. But anyway, 3 packs would do it for around about $18. It's $54. Now, I'm thinking if we go ahead with the vertical horizontal mount cutter, the DooDah Special, I'm thinking around about the $50 mark. So in total, you could mount the whole album for $104, half the cost of the traditional way of doing it. So asking for your help, let me know if you think it's worthwhile going ahead with this cutter. And of course you can adjust it for mini sheets as well as tenement strips and that sort of thing. That slides out quite easily there. You know, you can cut quite big widths there. Okay, so DooDah.com.au. Haven't done much to the web page yet, but eventually we'll do. Has a felt backing, so you're not scratching any surfaces. And let me know what you think. This is the prototype. Should we go ahead with producing some for our stamp collectors? Thanks very much, everybody. Looking forward to your comments and feedback. Thank you.